let me start with introducing the two people who are in front of you. My name is Geert Ramakers. I'm the program coordinator of the master program Neuroscience and Cognition. And next to me is Cara Maher from Ireland. She is a master student enrolled in this master program. What we are going to do in this webinar is first I will give you an overview of the organization of the master program and the philosophy we have in our master program. And after that, Cara will tell about her experiences in the first year of the master program. And now my slides are not working. Now they are. So here you see a picture of us in a more relaxed setting because we are a little bit nervous here standing in front of the camera, but probably during the talk we will relax a little bit more. So let me start with some numbers, facts and figures of our master program. So first, we admit 55 students a year. So maximum number of students that are allowed for the program is 55 students. The reason why we do this is because we want to provide the admitted students with a good internship, so an excellent internship possibility. And within Utrecht, we have about 55 good internship possibilities for our students. Having said that, neuroscience is a very popular field for master students, and each year we get more than 200 applicants. So out of these 200 applicants, we select 55 students. Of these 55 selected students, there is a large amount, about 1/3, 30% is international students. And these international students come from a large variety of countries, Ireland, but also from Argentina, Turkey, Greece, Spain, Italy, the UK, Israel, and so on. The population of students is not only diverse in their country of origin, but they are also diverse in their background on university teaching. About 40% of our students has a background in biomedical sciences, and another 40% has a background in psychology. And the remaining students have a background in either linguistics or in medicine or in physiotherapy. And we also had students who had a background in artificial intelligence or physics and mathematics. And I really enjoy working with a group of people with a diverse background, not only with a country of origin, but also with a diverse background in academic training. We have two tracks because 55 students is a large amount of students, and we want to provide personal guidance to these for you as a student. And therefore we made two tracks. Then we have two groups of about 27, 28 students, and that can be managed by a track coordinator. And the track coordinator helps you as a tutor during your 2 years in your master program, making the right decisions and helping you with finding the good internships. We have two tracks, which is based on the way that you can have a look at the brain. And we have a track which is called the Experimental and Clinical Neuroscience track, which is looking at the brain from a biomedical perspective, looking at how the brain is made up by neurons and glia cells, and what is wrong in the brain in patients. And we have a track which is called the Cognitive Neuroscience track, which is more looking at what the brain can do, how the brain functions in help or in executing things. The track coordinators of these two tracks are Ellie Hall and Stefan van Stichel. Ellie is a professor in glia biology at the UMC Utrecht, and Stefan is associate professor at the Helmholtz Institute, which is a department of psychology in the Faculty of Social Sciences. And both are very successful scientists, but on top of that, they're also very enthusiastic tutors. So they are really wanting to help you and really enthusiastic in providing you with the feedback you need to make the right decisions in deciding on your internships and the courses that you should take. We are a research master, so we are focused on doing research. And in our master program, there are 3 research institutes represented. The first is the Helmholtz Institute, which is of the Department of Psychology of the Faculty of Social Sciences. And the second one is the Brain Center Rudolf Magnus, which is the research institute of the UMC Utrecht, where all the research on brain is centered. And we have the Utrecht Institute of Linguistics, where the linguistics research is centered of the Faculty of Humanities. What type of research do we do? One thing you can do when you want to look at how the brain works, or what is wrong in the brain of a diseased person, you can make use of animal models. And on the left-hand side, you see one of the animal models which is widely used in our research. That are mouse models. The left mouse is a mouse which lacks a receptor, and therefore it cannot control its eating, and therefore it becomes very big. Whereas the right mouse is a wild-type mouse which has a normal feeding pattern. But we can also have behavioral tasks which we can do, and then look at the brain of a mouse which has performed these behavioral tasks. So in the right-hand side, you see an experimental setup where animals have the possibility to go into a running wheel, and we can, when the animal has the choice to go into that running wheel, at a certain moment it will prefer the running wheel above food, and therefore it will starve itself, and that can be used as a model for anorexia nervosa. So we have animal models for psychiatric diseases, and we can look at the brains of these animals and try to make a prediction of how these psychiatric diseases come along. What we can also do is we can look at the brains of patients. So we have a very huge fMRI facility where Kara will also talk about. With these imaging facilities, you can look at the brain and look at the areas in the brain which are affected by the disease. So that's the experimental part. How is the program organized? As I mentioned, we are a research master, so the majority of the program is focused on doing research. We have a major research internship of 51 EC and a minor research internship of 33 EC. And then you also have to do a writing assignment of 7.5 EC. And if you add all these up, you end up above 90 EC of the 120 ECs on doing research. And the remainder of these educational credits are located in a mandatory theoretical course and elective components. This elective component of 12 EC you can also use to extend your minor internship. So it's you can even do more. You can put more emphasis on doing research in this master program. The mandatory theoretical course we offer is the Fundamentals of Neuroscience and Cognition course, which is the first 10 weeks of your master program, and that's a course where you will be introduced to the neuroscience field in Utrecht, and you get an overview of the internship possibilities, and you also get an overview of all the basic components that are being covered in neuroscience Utrecht. So about the admission. As mentioned before, we like to have a diverse group of students. So we have a broad spectrum of eligible bachelor degrees. As mentioned, 40% of our students are biomedical students, and then the other 40% of our students are from psychology or social sciences, and the others are from linguistics, artificial intelligence, mathematics, and whatever student is interested in doing neuroscience research, he or she is welcome to join our program. If you have any doubts about eligibility, please send me an email and I can answer that question. Then the most crucial point, if you have more than 200 applicants and we only have 55 slots available, how do we select our students? So we select our students on a number of criteria. One of them is of course the academic performance. So we look at your grades, but not only at your grades, but also how your grades developed during your bachelor training, and if you took the right neuroscience courses. So that's the neuroscience background. In addition, we also look at your CV. if you have high grades, but you only focused on doing studying during your bachelor, and did not do any things beside your studies, that tells something about your interest. But if you have moderate degrees, but you were strongly involved in extracurricular activities, that can help you in being admitted for this program. And then at the last point, the motivation, that's of course a very important point. We strongly look for students who have a drive for doing neuroscience research. So we try to select based on the motivation of students who have a strong interest in doing neuroscience research. If you want to increase your chances for being admitted, pay special attention to your letters of recommendation. So if possible, let these letters of recommendation substantiate your CV and your motivation letter. The second thing is that try to make your CV and your motivation letter as personal as possible. So at the Utrecht University admissions site, there are standard questions put in a CV and in the motivation letter. And I would recommend you not to only answer these questions and then send in the form. Try to make it a personal motivation letter and CV. And having said all these things about the organization and the admission, and I give the word to Kara, and she will tell you about how she experienced the first 6-7 months of our master program.
Sure. Yeah? Hi, so I'm Kara. As Geert already said, I'm an Irish student. I'm studying here, doing the Neuroscience and Cognition course, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm going to tell you a bit about just what it's like, the daily life of a student here in Utrecht University. So yeah, it's a very varied course. You're always doing something different. When you start, when you arrive at Utrecht, the first part of the course, it's a 10-week course called the Fundamentals of Neuroscience and Cognition, and it's an intense course. It's full on. It's 10 weeks. It's 9 to 5 every day, and you do a lot of work. But in saying that, it's lots of fun. You meet so many of the researchers here at Utrecht, and you hear all about their research and what's going on here. And yeah, you get to meet your classmates, which is really, really helpful actually, because when you start, or for me at least, when I arrived, I didn't really know anybody because I just came from Ireland. And when you're with people in class every day from 9 to 5, you really get to know them. So I found that really nice. There's a huge range of topics covered over the first 10 weeks. Every week has a different theme. So for example, one week might be memory and attention, or perception, or neurological disorders, or psychiatric disorders, or lots of different things going on. And every week there's a good mix of both classes and practical sessions. During the first couple of weeks, actually, in one of the practical sessions, we got to dissect a brain, which I found was quite a moment. It was quite exciting to hold a brain in your hand for the first time. So it's really, there's a lot of things going on. For some of the other practical sessions, you collect some data. For example, during the perception week, we did some online perception tasks, and then collect all the data and present it at the end of the week. There's lots of opportunity to present your work, which I've also found really helpful because you're in a comfortable environment. You make just short presentations, maybe once a week or something like that, and it really gives you a good experience at presenting, or at least it boosts your confidence, I think. So yeah, there is also, of course, an exam, but there's an open book exam at the end of the 10 weeks, which is something that was new for me. I had never done an open book exam before, and it's quite different. It's really about applying what you know. So you can go in with your notes and your book and everything, And for example, you might be given a situation and asked to design an experiment that is suitable. And you're really taught to learn how to think about how you could start doing your own research and how you could apply what you've learned in a real life research environment. So it's a different way of studying, but I found it really, really helpful for progressing in research. There's also a writing assignment as part of the fundamentals of neuroscience and cognition. And for this assignment, you are assigned a supervisor. And I did my assignment on cognitive reserve in Alzheimer's disease. I found it really, really interesting, really helpful. You meet up with your supervisor every couple of weeks, or you correspond over email, and you get feedback, and you really get to learn in depth about one topic. So I really enjoyed that. I actually enjoyed it so much that I decided to ask my supervisor for an internship. So now I'm working in the Department of Neurology, and I'm doing research on Alzheimer's disease using diffusion tensor imaging and network analysis. It's really, really enjoyable. I'm learning a lot. I didn't have much imaging experience before I started this master's, but I was interested in learning, so they agreed to take me on. And I've learned so much. I started in December, and already I feel like I've got a good basis to go forward for the next couple of months with my research. So why should you do this master's? Well, really, people always ask me, oh, why did you choose to come to Utrecht University, and why did you choose to come to the Netherlands? And really, after my bachelor's degree, I didn't really know exactly whether I should do a master's, or whether I should do some research experience, or whether I should travel. And with this master's, I feel like you can do everything. You get your experience. There's so much time during the master's is spent on your internships that you get a lot of experience. I also got to travel because I'm here in the Netherlands. And then in 2 years, I have my master's degree. So it was really an option that covered everything for me. It's very much a degree to do if you're interested in a research career. It really is the master's for you, because it's completely based on research and progressing in research and learning about the field and how you can progress, and it's very much focused on that. Okay. Yes, as you can see here, the red bar, it shows you how much time is spent doing research. So again, it's really hands-on, practical masters. There's also a lot of support and information available about publishing articles or applying for grants or all that. Everything is very, very helpful. In addition to all the research you get to do, there's a lot of extracurricular opportunities available here as part of the Neuroscience and Cognition course. There's a journal called the Journal of Neuroscience and Cognition, and there's 2 copies of the journal published each year. There's a committee of students who work on this journal, and they basically do everything. They collect the articles, which are mainly written by Neuroscience and Cognition master's students. They publish it, they organize the launch party, they do everything. So you have the opportunity to get involved in this, which is great experience. There's also a symposium called the Mind the Brain Symposium, and it's on every May. I'm just in my first year, I haven't had the opportunity to go just yet, but I will be presenting a pitch of my research that I'm doing at the moment, and also a poster. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's a committee for this also, so you can get involved. And the Mind the Brain committee, they are involved in organizing keynote speakers, organizing their accommodation, their dinner for them, the food that's going to be available on the day, the student presentations, everything is organized by the students. So it's really, these kind of things are really good, because they give you the opportunity to get involved in learning about publishing and conferences, but you're still in a safe, friendly environment. Well, it's friendly, but so yeah, it's a really, really good opportunity. So yeah, I said I'd do some pros and cons of the program. So for me, the advantages were really how much freedom you have to follow your own path. It's very much like you can do what you can go down the path you want. If you're interested in molecular biology at a very fundamental level, you can do this. If you're interested in imaging, if you're interested in neuropsychology, you really have the freedom to follow whichever line of research that you are interested in. It's also a very flexible course. Before I actually came, I was a little bit confused about the timetable and how it was going to work. But you do after your 9-month internship, even for the internship, you have to arrange the start date, your holidays, the finishing date with your supervisor. So it's really up to you how you manage your time and how you manage the courses. It's not so much a downside, but it is difficult. It's not an easy course. You have to be prepared to work hard. Coming from a psychology background, I did find some of the more biological classes and stuff a little bit difficult. But it's possible if you work hard and you're willing to learn. It's very much achievable. So just a few tips on how to be successful in the master's program. Do ask for help. Everybody here is very willing to help out, and your track coordinator, your supervisor, even just your classmates, everybody is very friendly, and you should ask for help because the opportunity is there. Also, I would advise you to choose your internships well. 9 months is a long time, and you do want to study something that you're really interested in. Some students get a bit afraid that there's not going to be enough, or they're not going to get a good internship, but really there's so much research going on here at Utrecht that you will be able to do what you're interested in doing, and this is something that I really love about this master's program. And thirdly, I will just say that you should be involved, because even though you are given guidance for your internship and for your courses, even outside of that, there's so many talks and seminars and conferences going on, and it's really up to you to get involved. And there's such an exciting field of research here in Utrecht, so you really should. The Netherlands in general is great. I really love it. It's so beautiful, as you can see here. It really looks like that in the picture. And everybody is so friendly and willing to help, and everyone goes on their bikes. There's so many bikes. I would advise you, if you're not from Utrecht, to look for housing early. I didn't, and when I arrived in September, I found it quite difficult to find a house. If you get accepted into the course, you can apply for housing with the university, but you should do it quite straight away, or at the beginning of summer even, as soon as you can, because it's a difficult place to find a house. Yeah, and I will end with just saying about how it is to be an international student. People ask me, why did you come? Why did you leave Ireland? And really, my main reason was that I just wanted to travel. I wanted to go somewhere else and go to a new city. And studying is such a good opportunity to do that. You arrive alone in a new city, but immediately there's a orientation for international students. There's a week where it's an introduction to life sciences week, and you meet so many people. And it's a great way to travel and to get to know people through studying. More specifically, here at Utrecht University, the research facilities are outstanding. The techniques are state of the art. I've never seen anything. It's really, you can study what you want to with the best of techniques and the best of support. And this was something for me that I really appreciate here at Utrecht. Finally, if you're worried that in the Netherlands English is not the native language, then don't worry, because everybody speaks English. I have no problems at all in the lab, the shop, the banks, everything. So really, this is not a problem that you should worry about at all. And with that, I'm going to leave it to you guys to ask some questions that we're going to answer. We're going to try answer.
Yeah, we have a laptop standing here, and there are already some questions coming up. So I will just go through them. There was one question from Alexandra, and she asked if it's possible to change the track that you have selected. So if you are an ECN track, if you can go to the CN track and vice versa. And the short answer to it is yes. If you, when you apply, you can indicate in which track you want to enroll the program. But if you, during the 10 weeks of the fundamentals course, for instance, realize that maybe you want to go to another track, then that's very simple to arrange. Did you indicate that you wanted to come to the CN track?
I didn't actually. No, I'm in the experimental and clinical neuroscience, even though I did have a psychology background. Primarily because I was when I read about it online and when I heard about it, I thought that it suited me better. And while it was maybe going to be a little bit more work because I lacked some of the biology background, I decided that I was going to try and do that anyway. So for me, yeah, it's going well.
Okay, yeah. Then there is a question by Jasper. How do you select your students? I think I addressed it a little bit during the presentation. So we have 4 criteria which we use, and all these 4 criteria, they have the same weight. So we have a committee of 4 people. They read all the applications and they give grades for the CV, for the motivation letter, and so on. And these grades are averaged, and then we make a ranking, and out of this ranking we select our students. And if there are any doubts, we invite students for a personal interview. Then there is a question, somebody who is studying nutrition and health in Wageningen and has a minor in and you are suitable for the program, but yeah, I cannot make any statements about whether you will be accepted or not. That has to that we have to judge. That also depends on the other applicants, of course. Then there is a question by Anja. Why should I choose the Utrecht Neuroscience Research Program over the program in Maastricht? That is an answer that I cannot answer. That's an answer that you can. That's a question you can answer. I can only say that in Utrecht, the strong facts of Utrecht is that we have a link between the psychology and the hospital. So we bridge the gap between these 2 extremes of brain research. And I think I find that very interesting, but it's up to you if that's also for your interest. Why did you choose to go to Utrecht?
Well, for me, I'm actually not sure exactly if the layout of the program in Maastricht, but for me, the fact that there was 2 research internships, a 9-month one and a 6-month one, and I could spend so much of my time of my master's program doing research was really a big draw for me. Okay. Yeah. Because, yeah, as I said, I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to go straight back into studying like in my bachelor's. So this, I think it's a really good mix between classes and courses and group work, and then also learning what it's like to be in a research environment.
Okay, yeah. So Anja, it's up to you where you should go. Then there's a question: how many technical courses are offered in each track? One first thing is that there is no course which is only for one track. So if you are in the ECN track, you are allowed to take courses in the CN track and vice versa. And even if you want to take courses in other master programs, you are allowed to do so. There aren't that many technical courses. We now started a course on fMRI, and there are courses on doing bioinformatics and doing neurophysiology and applying psychological tests in neuroscience. But we are developing these courses in time. Then there's also a question: are you looking for students with research assistant positions or internship, or is both equally good? The answer is yeah, we're looking at a mix, and both are equally good. So if you have done an internship during your bachelor program, that is fine, and if you have had a research assistant position, that is also fine. But if you didn't have that, it's also possible to be admitted. So there is no straight conclusion to be drawn on the basis of your internships or not. The job opportunities, yeah, we are a research master, so most of our students continue with their training as a PhD student. If I have to put a percentage on it, I would say 75 to 80% continue as a master student, which many of them already have a master position before they finish, or a PhD position before they finish their master program. So within their internships, they stay and do their PhD. But not everybody goes into a PhD trajectory, so we also have students which end up working in pharmaceutical industry. In the Netherlands, the pharmaceutical industry is not that big anymore, but in Germany, Switzerland, there is lots of job opportunities, and also in France. Imaging courses, they are offered, so we are having them. Can you arrange an internship abroad? Yes. And actually, the majority of our students go abroad, and I think it's very good for the students, and I really stimulate them to go abroad. But for us, it's quite unfortunate because many of them stay where they do their second internship. So we train them, we give them the theoretical background and the experimental training, and then they go to Harvard or to Oxford or Cambridge, and there they are warmly welcomed, and they are offered a PhD position, and we don't see them back again. So that's for the students, it's really good, but for us, it's quite disappointing sometimes. And there is also the question about partner institutions. I mentioned already a few, and we don't have real formalized partners, but because we have many successful scientists in our master program, they have networks. And many of our students find a second internship within the networks of our PIs involved in our master program. So they go to Harvard, they go to Oxford, Cambridge, Karolinska in Sweden is a very popular place. Australia is also very popular to go to, and but that's depending on the interest of the student and the network of the PI that is in that field of research. Are you planning to go abroad?
I don't really know yet. I'm already abroad, so I kind of feel like I mean, I've been here since September, but I do kind of feel like I just arrived and I want to stay for a little bit longer because I do really like it here. So while I'm not absolutely 100% sure that I'll stay here, I think I will.
But how is the feeling within the other students in your cohort?
I think a lot of people will go. I mean, I don't know anybody who's got it arranged yet, but people are definitely talking about it, and a lot of people even at the very beginning assume that they definitely will go if they're, especially a lot of the Dutch people, the international students are a little bit less because they're already away from home.
Okay, there is a last question. There is one question. I have a communications degree with minors in consumer behavior. Can I apply to the master? Yes, you can apply, and if you can convince the selection committee that you have something to offer for the master program, then why not? Please do, Gabi. And the last question by Antonia, does it happen regularly that people decline their acceptance? It happens, especially because some students also apply for master programs outside of Utrecht. Maastricht, for instance, but also in the UK or some other places, and they make decisions to go to another place. So sometimes students decline their positions, and therefore we make a reserve list when we make our selection, and we invite people who are on the reserve list if they are still interested to come. So. I think it's time to finish up. I would like to thank you for your attention, and thank you for joining, and maybe see you in September. Bye.
Bye.